how I got into hog hunting was I had a Catahoula that I was training to blood track for deer. And I had run a drag and hung a hoof in a cedar tree and turned this dog out. She was about 9 months old at the time, not old enough for tracking collars, anything like that. And he blows up babe. So my first thought when that dog lit up like that, I was like, oh my God. I was like, raccoon, possum, whatever it may be, rattlesnake. I ran over there and I walked one past a little, about 180, maybe not that big, about 150, somewhere around there, just a good sized bull hog. And she had baited. It was bedded next to a blown over cedar tree. Said if I never get a 1,500 acre deer lease ever again, if it never comes up that I buy the 100-acre ranch or whatever it may be, I'll know going to my grave that people are wearing Dancin Dog Ranch hats, wearing our gear, following the page, knowing they're getting something authentic.
What's up, guys? This is going to be episode 4 of the Tejas Hunt Club podcast. I'm Brandon McDowell, and welcome to the podcast this week. This week, we're going to have on Mathew, Lefty, Luczak from Dancin Dog Ranch. He's going to come on to talk about Dancin Dog Ranch, what it's all about. We're going to talk about deer hunting. We're going to talk about running hog dogs and get into that. He's going to talk about his new place he's setting up right now for him and his wife. And it's a great podcast, so I hope you enjoyed this week. It was a great time talking to him. We're going to have him on for other episodes, and we're probably going to do some hog hunting and stuff together, so it's going to be pretty cool. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to everybody that's listening to the podcast. All the likes and everything and the shares that we've gotten. If you haven't, please do share it with your friends, family. Let them know about the podcast. We'd really appreciate it. Please follow us on social media. You'll get updates on everything we're doing, from videos to the podcast to events we're going to be at. So it's at Tejas Hunt Club and then also at BarMC Media. So if you want to follow those two pages, and then also our YouTube channel where we have the podcast playing all the time. So like I said, we're going to jump into the podcast. It's a great one, so hope you enjoy it.
It's too much.
Tejas.
Still too.
Tejas Hunt Club podcast is the podcast for you and you and you and you. Well, guys, welcome to another episode of the Tejas Hunt Club podcast. This afternoon, I'm sitting down with Mathew, Lefty, Luczak, owner and founder of Dancin Dog Ranch. We, cross paths on Instagram, kind of like everybody else, and wanted to sit down, talk to him about some dogs, about Dancin Dog Ranch, and then just whatever comes up. So we're going to get into it right now, and I'm going to introduce Mathew. He's going to tell us a little about himself, where he grew up, how he got in the outdoors, and what he's all about. So, Mathew, glad to have you on the podcast. Thanks for coming on. Let's hear it, man.
Man, I appreciate you having me. We missed each other in Austin at that event a few months back, and I hated that. I've been following you on Instagram for over a year about now, and it's been awesome. So I'm an avid outdoorsman from Houston. My father grew up hunting and fishing, and luckily he got to tag me along. And what happened was Dancin Dog Ranch was a family ranch, or a family lease that was going on, and we'll get into that later. But I'm from Houston, moving up north between College Station and Huntsville pretty soon to a little town called Beedi, and looking at that about 8 weeks away. So pretty excited. That's about it for me.
Well, that's cool, man. You'll be right down the road because I'm in College Station.
Yes, sir.
Pretty close to 30 coming into town. So, like, hopping to Beedi ain't nothing but a thing. One of my professors at Sam lives in Beedi, so I know it pretty well.
Well, you'll have to swing by the place, come check it out when we get there, because I'm looking forward to it. Been in Tomball recently, or most of my life. Grew up in Houston, came out to Tomball at middle school, and I'm ready to get out to Grimes County and get to where I'm in some woods. So it's gonna be nice.
I hear you. I like being close enough to town, but outside of town, just so you can have some peace and quiet. But even still, out here, you have trucks rolling by, and there's a volunteer fire department right down the road, so we hear that every now and then too. So, it gets noisy too out here, but not as frequent. But yeah, man,
like the town's coming into the woods, so
yeah, all the time, man. It's College Station. I've been here since 2011. So I've seen. I remember when College Station wasn't even like like 2818 wasn't even a thing. Like I remember when it was just at Wellborn in 2818, and you kind of had to stop at the stop sign and take a left to go out of town. And then like the barracks, that whole area, the new HEB that's over there, like it's all grown up and it's gone in every direction.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But anyway.
But yeah, man, like I said, wanted to get you on the podcast and talk about hunting and stuff and, just Dancin Dog Ranch. But you said that was a family lease. So is that a lease y'all had for like your whole hunting career, I guess, or since you were a kid or what?
So what we can do is just dive right into it, basically. We grew up hunting there for 11 years. Had 2 great leases for my family life, or family, hunting lease life. And what happened was the place sold. And when we went out there to get our stuff, the ranch sign that you see behind me actually took off the wall. It hasn't been off the wall in a while. It was out in a burn pile, dude. And after learning how to drive a truck, standard truck, clean deer, pretty much anything I could do, that was my vacation. Was getting out there and getting away and picking up arrowheads, anything you can think of. And when I went out there and seen that sign in that burn pile, it made me extremely hot. And so I took it, kept it, trademarked it, and I formed the LLC the last past year, and it's been pretty interesting. The only reason why I really went and did that is because my buddies started wanting hats. I put it on a hat, and I couldn't keep them, man. All my buddies were wanting hats, and it's pretty funny how the place started out as just bringing guests, friends that were from the area or family friends or et cetera, and we'd go out there and have the time of our lives. And then when we lost that place, man, it was hard to find another deer lease, as you might know, or as funny as places are vanishing over the years. That's kind of the idea behind the whole Dancin Dog Ranch. My business is kind of keeping the tradition of, like I said, learning how to drive a truck, bait a hook, whatever it might be that you did back when you were a kid, learning how to find your love for the outdoors. That's what we did. That's what the Dancin Dog Ranch is about. And so it's been a fun process. Like I said, it just started off putting hats on. I walked into a store, we walked in somewhere, saw a guy with a ranch hat. I was like, man, I should do that.
Yeah.
Went ahead and did it, and everybody that I knew that had known about it wanted one. And it was like, man, you know what? Maybe I have something here. And it's been pretty cool. Started out of the hunting cage, and then just grew from there. So it's been real fun. So
that's cool to hear, man. Because like I'm in the industry and hunting and stuff, you hear people that. You hear about Texas and you hear about leases and how that goes. And it's interesting to hear your perspective on it because a lot of people don't get to hear that or don't know that side of like hunting in Texas. Like it's as most people know, it's 98% private land. So there's not that much public like you have in other states. And basically how you hunt here is either you have family land that you can hunt on and it's managed or you pay to have a lease and have that whole culture around having leases in Texas, like it's a huge thing. Like I can't remember like how many times you had friends that are going to the lease for Thanksgiving or spend the lease at Christmas and like doing all those, having those events and family gatherings and having like you said, your friends come out and they shoot deer and like it's more about hunting is a big deal about the lease, but it's also a huge family tradition and like sets those like morals and things that you have and teaches you those skills that you spoke to, like learning how to drive a truck. A lot of people that, grow up in town aren't going to have that luxury. They have to go find a parking lot or something like that where you get to drive from your house, from the house or the lodge or camp or whatever to the blind and over terrain and all that kind of stuff. So I could definitely see how finding that sign in that burn pile would have upset me too, and I definitely would have picked it up and brought it with me. And like you said, like that's another reason why we started like Tejas Hunt Club is like talking about those traditions and those things and like keeping it going. Because even though a lot of people don't have leases or can't have that, and you still have to build. I feel like you can still build that culture and build that thought process through like having pages on Instagram or groups on Facebook. I mean, it gets a little bit harder because you're not all right there together, but it's sharing stories from everybody and being able to see that it's still going on and congratulating people on hunting and being in the outdoors. And like you said, that's where those pages start and kind of how it goes.
But I bought that property in Beta because I want my son to never have to worry about going and getting in a deer stand anywhere. Because when I lost the ranch, it was like, hey, they came in the last weekend of deer season. The new owners said, hey, you need your stuff off here by February. We've been there for 11 years. We had an account at the feed store, pulled up, and so come back in 2 weeks and have that sign and that burn pile. People know me. I'm a pretty fiery guy, and I kept to myself that weekend, grabbed things. Funny story, you were talking about getting into the hunting store or something. I left a shed underneath a cedar bush, and I had nightmares for years about why I didn't go over there and grab that dang shed. That was just not like me, right? I was so fired up that weekend, I could not believe it. And any other Mathew for 11 years would have walked over there, grabbed that shed, put it in the back of the truck, and did it. But we were taking feeders down and putting them on a trailer, and heartbroken. Heartbroken, dude. It was very hard to watch and go through, and it's been hard to find another place like that to hunt. It's just been so incredible. I mean, I could go on with stories and stories and stories about that place. Kids, I said, bringing guests out there. A kid shot the biggest deer recorded on that place was shot by a kid that had never been outside the loop of Houston. His first trip to the hill country, and they thought it was a coal buck because it was so trashy. It was all trashed out horns. And actually the horns had crossed over. Yeah. And I told him to shoot a coal buck. He was with a management-minded hunter, and I said, hey, man, he had been there. I said, let this kid take a coal buck and take it home with him, put something on the wall. They shot that deer and brought it back, and I'm going to get the video one day. The man still got it. It was on an old camera. This is 2005, 2006. I mean, years and years ago. And they brought it back to camp, and I looked at that thing. It scored 143, and we were a small, low fence, Sutton County, dearly, and this kid brought this back, and his face was lit up like, 4th of July, and I couldn't believe it. That was another thing, out there, you never know what you're going to run into in the hill country. We had exotics, I never even looked at the game camera, man. I didn't like looking at game cameras because you would pick out a target buck and you'd go after him or something, and then Louis Grande comes walking across here, and where did this sucker come from in the rut? I could go on with stories about turkeys, arrowheads, whatever you may be, summertime trips going out there, floating the South Llano River. When we lost that place, like I said, all of them hats back there are all designs that I put off from grandfather hats that he had given down to me. And I was like, man, traditions, old school stuff, one-offs that, you would go grab and find in your grandpa's closet, or you find at that old bait camp or feed store or wherever, something like that. And we're losing it, man. A lot of the stores that I work with and then I'm putting myself in and aligning myself with are small town business, local stores that I think that fit my style, and it's been a really fun ride. It's been really fun. So
that's pretty cool, man. So like you said, you were talking about whitetails and stuff. Was that the first animal you really chased, or did you start with like small game or anything like that?
Whitetail deer, little doe, sitting with my dad, probably about 8, 9 years old, somewhere around there. Dad picked out a nice nanny doe and let me get it. And from there on, it was, generated a coal buck, or maybe a spike between there, somewhere spiked or coal buck. And man, like I said, I could go on about the deer that we found out there, and we managed it for 11 years. We weren't greedy. We grew up in East Texas. We got our meat, but we weren't crazy about chasing horns. So everything that we harvested off there was amazing, and so I was very blessed. Those years before we got off there, I got to shoot my biggest buck, a 10-point with a 22-inch inside spread. The sucker walked out at 40. I was looking at the feeder 180 yards away with a 9 power on the scope or something, right? Just checking out what's under there. And a buck walks out in front of me, right in between the feeder and the stand. And all I see is, chest. So I look up, and all I see is 20, huge rack. I look back underneath there, and I turn that scope back and popped him down and walked down there. And I was looking at it, and I couldn't believe that sucker was sitting up almost 2 feet off the ground, and my dad's quote, I brought it back to camp, and my dad said, that deer is not from around here. We're shooting high 8, good 10 points, but something walking with a spread. Whenever you had him on camera, like I said, that was a deer that we had never had on camera, just strolling through the county. Shouldn't have stopped at that feeder that day because, man, that was an awesome harvest. My dad, at that time, I was hunting on my own. My dad before this Texas Buck Registry and the printouts, we had the Muy Grande tapes, and we knew what we were, we knew what we were doing, but it wasn't, oh my gosh, what we have, the technology we have today. And man, when I harvest that deer, my dad, like I said, I brought it back. He said that looks like a South Texas, something that's not from we've ever seen. And almost, I think about that time, it was about 8 to 9 years we were hunting there. And man, just like I said, it was an incredible place. Couldn't let that sign sit in that burn pile, man. I could go on about whitetail. We had black buck, that free range. The story behind the ranch, why it was called the Dancin Ranch, the original owner was going to make it a quail ranch, believe it or not. And in the front of the property, it's a plateau that separated the back of the property and the front of the property. And he took out all the cedar in the front. He left the mesquite, and he left the completely almost coastal plain, or plain damn near. And he ran out of money, and he ended up selling the place. And it was the owners that we had hunted for, real good family owned place, and they just split the sign up, man. And so the black buck antelope free range to that place with it being with no, I guess not like in thickness, cedar, live oak, whatever it was, but they hung out in the front of the camp for 1,100 acres of that property. It was free range black buck. That was actually one of the first animals I got to take after the whitetail was a free range black buck out there, and that was a really cool story as well.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, I loved black buck are pretty cool. I've been on a couple hunts for them on high fence and on low fence too, and seen other people take them and everything, like film stuff like that. But they taste great. My fiance Megan, one of the first animals she shot was a black buck, and he's a pretty nice one too. Got to be on that hunt with her. It was pretty cool. But yeah, man, like how did that go? Like, what was how did you transition there? Or like, do you remember like any differences, like understanding that going from hunting a whitetail to like now you're hunting a black buck, which is obviously, did you know that at that time that it wasn't something that was native here, or that it was pretty special to get to see one?
Well, that's awesome you asked that, because like I said, it was a family release, and it was a bunch of my father's family friends that he had worked with, whatever. All the dads, all the guys that are paying members got to harvest a black buck if they wanted to, right? That was their paying dues. Every year they got to shoot a black buck. And for the first 5 to 6 years, we let my dad, my godfather, et cetera, harvest these trophy black buck. And the kids never even got the option, right? And so little long years, the kids got to hunt them, right? And we went out there one weekend for it was in April, spring break, and we brought my mom and my sister out there. They went to Fredericksburg, took a trip to Fredericksburg for the night, and Dad and I were just hanging out on the ranch, throwing feeders, doing our normal thing. And sure enough, Dad said, "I think it's time for you to go shoot a black buck," and I was fired up. And what's funny is they didn't come to feeders. They had that front part of the property. They didn't care to come to deer feeders. They'd stroll by them every once in a while, but they hung out in that front open property, and they weren't going to come to feeder and deal with the whitetail, I guess, or whatever it may be. And like I said, I can count on one hand how many were actually harvested at a feeder in 11 years hunting there. And Dad said, "Hey man, let's go hunt these black bucks." All right. I was a young kid, 10, maybe 9 or 10, somewhere right in between there. Like I said, I got very lucky over the years. Like I said, we hunted a very long time. My dad just said, "Hey man, I got to shoot his black buck that year." Very lucky kid. Yeah. So we start stalking them, and they're very skittish. If you're in that open place, they're not gonna. You pull up in a truck to get out or wherever you may be sitting, they're gonna know you're there because there's nowhere to hide really. And sure enough, we're walking up on these black buck, and we're keeping between about 200 to 300 yard distance. And to tell you, I'm using a youth model 243. My dad was probably not too confident that I was gonna take one of these black bucks, right? So sure enough, we get a good shot right on the plateau, right before we're kind of pushing them back to the thicker part of the property where we know they're not going to go, and they're probably going to loop back around towards camp. And sure enough, I take off a shot from about 250, somewhere right in that range, and I hit this black buck. The rest of them take off, and I'm using a youth model 243. I couldn't tell you the grain I was using, but it wasn't powerful enough. And he stumbled around. And we walked up to him to put another bullet in him, and not paying attention to the weather and the surroundings, hill country rain came in. and pour down rain. I mean, you couldn't see 5 feet in front of your face. And we're soaking wet. We walked, the antelope ran off. We walked down there, can't find any blood, and I am heartbroken. I'm talking about just absolutely heartbroken.
Oh, yeah.
And for 7 months, I passed on deer. I passed on blackbuck. My dad, I went through the entire deer season. We knew how breeding patterns were, but my dad was like, hey, I know that hurts, but let's get you one. He was a great father. He is a great father, but like I said, it was not the black buck that I took. He was solid black. I mean, wasn't real tall horns. He was shorter. He was a shorter horn buck, but he had mass to him for a black buck. It was very. I could tell he was different from the ones that had been taken, even as young as I was. And I passed on him. I mean, even ones that had come to the feeder within a couple hundred yards. Within 80 yards of us. So I said, nope, that's not the shot. That's not the one I want. And I didn't care how long it took because I thought I had the Dancin Ranch forever, right? And we're rolling out to camp one time, and I see a herd of black buck. And I'm with what was like a grandfather figure to me. Grew up hunting with my father.
Yep.
He was taking me out one time to go hunting. My dad was staying at home to cook, believe it or not. And we rolled out, and we see some black bucks, and he said, Mathew, he says, you want to go look at them? I said, sure enough. Yeah, okay. Well, there's a fence line between both of us. And like I said, those black bucks were very skittish. And we get off, start looking at these black bucks, take our feet, start taking a few steps towards them, and they see us immediately. And Thomas says, get down. So we get down, army crawl, get up to this barbed wire fence, and there's two mature black bucks. And they start fighting, full-blown fighting, going at it, and they're very, dominant. They'll fight over anything, really. And so we're watching these two black bucks fight, and one of them whoops one pretty darn good, and the other one runs off it's about 200 yards away. And I look at him, and I'm on a bottom wire of a barbed wire fence in West Texas. Probably I think I was 10 years old at this time. And I took a shot from about 80 yards, and I put this black buck down, and I walked over there, and I was congratulating me, and I was looking at him, and I was very young, man. Like I said, I wasn't knowledgeable. What are the chances, right? Thomas, this looks like that black buck. And sure enough, we flipped it over. I didn't realize I had shot him on the other side from where I originally shot this black buck, and he had a scab on his shoulder, and it's on the mount hanging in my room where that and I've got his hide too, where you can see where that had scabbed up and healed over. Heck, it might have been a 300-yard shot. Like I said, we didn't hurt him that bad. Like I said, the rest of them ran off, and it, like I said, dazed him, whatever it may be. But I flipped that black buck over, and he had a scab, sure enough, right on the shoulder blade of that shoulder, and I couldn't believe it, man. And to this day, I'm still believing that that's the black buck that I wounded, ran off, and he just stuck around, and I got him. So
that's real cool. Like I said, I love hunting the exotics. They're a lot of fun. I mean, the meat is awesome. Like I love whitetail, but exotics taste good too.
It makes, from being in East Texas, when you see something like a black, we tried for years. The neighboring properties had Axis, Psycha. Going down the county road, you wouldn't be surprised what you would see free ranging. And one morning we were walking to a stand, and there was a chocolate tallow bedded at the front of our stand, and it took off running. And I hunted that stand specifically for the rest of deer season. That might have been around Thanksgiving, just hoping and praying that he would, come back. I was a young kid, 14, 15 years old, and realized that he was in traveling mode, and he was getting out of there no matter what. And he just had found a place to bed down that night. But like I said, you never knew what you were going to run into out there. We didn't get hogs onto the Dancin Ranch until our last 2 years into that place. There was no hogs in Sutton County. We had heard about them, but on our side of the north side of I-10, we were just a mile south of the Shocker County line on the 2596 Farmer Market Road. And like I said, how I got into hog hunting was I had a Catahoula that I was training to blood track for deer. And I had run a drag and hung a hoof in a cedar tree and turned this dog out. She was about 9 months old at the time, not old enough for a tracking collar, anything like that. And he blows up babe. And my father grew up coon hunting, squirrel hunting with Catahoulas. And that's how I known about him. And I heard of, hog hunting and been with my buddy in Baller and et cetera. But my first thought when that dog lit up like that, I was like, oh my God. I was like, raccoon, possum, whatever it may be, rattlesnake. I ran over there, and I'd walked one past a little, about 180, maybe not that big, about 150, somewhere around there, just a good sized boar hog, and she had baited. It was bedded next to a blown over cedar tree, and I was sitting there in amazement. I knew what a working dog was. I'd seen dogs tree and cow dogs, etc. But I knew one thing: I wasn't going to go pull that dog off with that hog. I walked back, grabbed the 357 that I had on the buggy, walked back over there and shot that hog over that dog. And from that day forward, we had feeders that, like I said, at the end of the time, we could set a feeder off and walk back to the truck, and there'd be hogs at the feeder.
Yeah.
And so, sure enough, that's what I was doing with that dog. It went from blood tracking to straight hog hunting. And I would go set a feeder off, walk down there, and about the time they'd show up, I'd have to get my camera up, whatever it was, and I'd be sending her down the road, and she'd run and catch. You'd catch out. There wasn't very many big hogs either. They were smaller shoats, I guess you could call them.
Yeah.
And he would run them down. I'd either bay, shoot them, catch them out, and kill them, execute them, or tie them out. If I knew people that wanted them for barbecue hogs or whatever, maybe I tied them up and took them to them. And that's what she started addiction, man. 11 years ago. That's what it was funny. It's been now it's going on 11 years, and it's been fun. It's been a fun process getting into hog hunting. So.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Like especially when you talk about Catahoulas, because I have two Catahoulas myself, and
there you go.
Shadow, one name is Case. It's hurt my red dog son, but no, dude, I love dog hunting. From coon hunting, squirrels, we can do it all. I'll
be at El Toro look at the wild. So I heard that in the last podcast. So.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I'm gonna take my two down there on Sunday and do
Good deal, man.
Amateur and just put them in there. I was like, man, I want to try it out, see what they do. Because I started out when I first got Shadow, I was working on cows and stuff, and she'd push steers. The place we lived at, we team rope and stuff. Then after that, I didn't really work cows with them. They're kind of bored. We were hunting more, so I let them blood track. And like I said, they're not no finished blood dogs by any means, but they find everything I've shot. And even if somebody else in camp that we were hunting with, if they shot something, I'd be like, hey, can we just bring my dog? And even if we saw where it fell down, I'd let her run it and go up to it and find it and everything. So that was, and she loved it, loves it, because she loves deer. She's crazy about them. But I want to take them down there and do that bay competition, because I've been seeing it rods and Dixie Doggers. I listen to their podcasts and stuff, and they've been talking about the bay competitions, and then Goose. So that Goose,
top dog, Uncle Earl, bud. Yeah, one of the best dogs I've just seen a bay pen. So
he's pretty.
That'll be worth the show. Go to Uncle Earl's if you've got the time this year. It's in March, and you should put that on your list.
Dude, I actually talked to Jake Lacano. He sent me a message. We became friends on Facebook, and he sent me a message about Downsville a couple of weeks ago, and I wasn't able to make it. And then I still got to check. I think I might be turkey hunting during Uncle Earl's, but I'm not real sure right now. But I got to see if I can make it over.
You poor guy, man. Let me tell you.
Yeah. So trust me, if it wasn't for that, I would probably definitely be there. But I'm gonna have to pick turkey hunting over that right now. But I do want to get in. I do want to get into it. It's something for the dogs to do. They love to do it, man, and it's a lot of fun. I'll go watch dogs bay for sure, because it's cool to watch. So I'm excited to go down there this weekend.
The dog that got me started, June, Catahoula, like I said, picked her up when after the at the end of the Dancin Dog Ranch when we were hunting. We started hunting. Whoever would give me an invite. Basically, you said you got hogs. You're okay with me running dogs there. I was coming. So anyway, she's the same way like you kind of described your shadow dog. I've taken her to bay pens. Not a bay pen dog. She is definitely going to catch out with something with a fence behind it. I guess she's a little too rough for some bay pens.
Yeah.
But I've never had bay pen dogs. I've been interested with, like we were saying before, losing hunting land. I've lost a lot of spots due to development, being in the area that I am, and I've considered going that route because I hate to see dogs sit up and go to waste. But luckily, I have the National Forest not too far away. I've got some buddies that give me some invites here and there, and working on when I get to B-Dye. I've got some spots that need to be hunted and ready for me to get there. So it's gonna be a great spot. So.
Oh yeah.
But, you know what I'm saying? It changed my life. No offense to anybody that deer hunts or anything like that, but when that dog bayed and went fired up, I was like, man, I really got into it because I had nephews, younger kids, girlfriends, etc. I was like, man, I really want to. I had gotten my full, and when I found hog hunting and deer hunting, hog hunting and dog hunting, I was like, let's go, man. I was ready for something new, and it's been a fun process. Like I said, I've been doing it for almost 11 years now, and it's been an awesome process.
That's pretty cool, man. So how many dogs do you have right now?
Right now in the yard, I've got 7, and then Jen in the house. She's retired. She's always been a house dog. She's never slept in kennels or on the chain or anything like that. But I had a litter of puppies last year out of 2 dogs that I've been have been given by mentors. They told me to give them these dogs, said, hey, make this cross, this new dog, go and do it. Before that, it was buying, finding, and luckily, like I said, mentors trying to find the right dogs. And right now, I got 7 in the yard. I got 3 in East Texas loaned out. 1 in South Texas with a good buddy. That's kind of how these dog deals go, man. I'm not big on selling dogs. We kind of lend them out. If something happened, unfortunately, something like that happens, we're in the, kind of, I guess you could say, trading business.
Yep.
What do you got over here? Let me hunt it for you. Like I said, I haven't been hunting a whole lot. I've been able to let people send stuff off, and or I've been blessed letting to send them off and get them hunted, and it's been a process, but it's gonna be a cool thing. My place in B-Dye, it's gonna be a wooded bay pen. My back property, I'm gonna turn into a wooded bay pen. My buddy's gonna be able to bring their dogs and start their dogs in there. I'm gonna keep hogs in there for us, and whenever you want to get your puppies rolling, show them some hogs. You'll be able to show them a woods experience versus a bay pen. You know what I mean? So
cool, man.
that's how I got started raising them, taking young puppies, getting them going in a wooded pen, or taking them actually just to the national forest and cutting them loose. And yeah, man, from the transition of hunting the hill country to the deep East Texas woods with dogs was a complete different range. I mean, it blew my mind, man. But like I said, you adapt, you keep going, and unfortunately, hogs aren't going anywhere. They're still hanging around, and as bad as we hunt them and go after them, the freeze a few years ago put a dent in the population here. But I believe it, so I found some frozen together here in Tomball. Right up here in the woods, I found 3 of them frozen together during the freeze, and I hadn't seen as many as I had been seeing in the national forest too as well. So not sure if that played a big factor, but they're still around. So
yeah, they're still going to hang around. I mean, they're fun chasing them. And do you have all Catahoulas, or you got crosses? Like, what do you run?
They're crossed up between Black Mouse and Catahoulas that have all had a little bit of touch of hound in them here and there, and they're old school stock dogs. I've hunted the rough dogs. I've hunted different styles of dogs. I like dogs that don't let me hunt every weekend. Let's just say that. And I've had my experiences. Like I said, I don't get to hunt a whole lot. So luckily, or I don't get to hunt a whole lot. I don't get to hunt as much as I used to anymore. And having the convenience of not running up vet bills or having dogs on injury reserve or anything like that has been the way I've gone with it. And heck, man, when I hunted the hill country, 200, 300-yard dog was what I needed. We could go hit a block of woods, hit a trail, and dogs would roam out his track, either bay right off the road, bay at a feeder, etc. And then you go and hunt the national forest in East Texas, and you need a dog that's getting out a quarter mile, almost minimum, just hitting the track and finding a track and hunting. And then the race is on. You got to get a dog that gives out that far, and then you got to make sure you can pay one.
Yeah.
So it's been an experience. Like I said, I've been blessed meeting some great guys through the hat business. There's the guys that have reached out to me about doing mutual hat business, guys that have done their own thing, going on hunts. Like I said, the first time I took June to the National Forest, man. I turned her out and started walking down the road, kind of like I had hunted, whatever. And my 2 buddies that had taken me grabbed 2 cast-style dogs, and cut them off the road. And half a mile later, looking at one bay, and me and Junior walking down the road, and I was like, whoa. I'm like, oh. I was like, okay, let's maybe I need to try something different here. And luckily, like I said, hadn't experienced it. I'd hunted in San Marcos. I've hunted all over the place, by the Brazos River, College Station area, and never hunted the deep East Piney Woods, coastal rivers, etc. Different styles of dogs. That's one thing that I had written down to talk to you about when we got into it was everybody's got their preference. And I honestly, like I said, it goes for different people, different areas, and different personalities almost, So
yeah, I haven't hunted East Texas, like hog hunted East Texas. I've only hog hunted South Texas, Goliad area where I grew up, and then out in West Texas. So that's pretty much it. Like I've a little bit, spot stalk stuff in the hill country a few times, but yeah, that East Texas stuff, I'm interested to see. I'd be down to try it. See, like
load up, man.
Coming from
it's getting hot now, so we try to, man. It's getting so hot, it takes out a whole day for you. It's like I said, and then tracks get dry and it gets hot, and it makes it hard for dogs to smell a track. Sometimes like that. But man, deer season's over. I've got places that are MLD that haven't even gotten to touch yet. So maybe we'll line something out. That'd be good. I'd love to get some videography. We'll work something out. Try to line out a hunt, man. We'll get something cool. Like I said, be prepared. You've been dog hunting before. Like I've tried to do the guided hunts and telling people, I'm like, hey, it's just like fishing. It's not, it's like call it fishing and not catching. Really, it's hunting, not killing. And everybody wants to see a hog, and we go on great hunts, catch many a hogs, but there's always that chance. Here comes a dry run, and then you got to have it. Got to figure out how to pull a hog out of somewhere. So. It's fun. I would love to take you on a hunt, show you. Have you been to the Davy Crockett National Forest?
I've been through it. I've driven through it a few times, but I haven't never hunted it or anything. I can't remember if it was Davy Crockett or there's one over here that's got a bow only area to hunt in too for whitetails, I think. When I was trying to look around and find,
it might be Sam Houston. I'm not a bow hunter, so I couldn't tell you, but it might be Sam Houston or Angelina is up north, and I'm pretty sure that they do that as well. So.
Yeah. But no, man, that'd be cool. Like I said, growing up, man, I went to school at Sam Houston, and I remember the first time I was driving to Huntsville, and like it's not even really trees in Huntsville. Like that's kind of where it starts.
Yeah, I was about to say, where I was going with how I asked you if you've been to the forest is because going from Goliad, Texas, to the David Crockett National, it's just like a polar opposite. Well, you wouldn't think you're in Texas, right? And it's
you think you're in some forest in some land way far away, but you're right here in Texas. It looks completely different. And I used to cut through the Sam Houston forest when I lived in Plantersville and I worked in Huntsville, and I would cut through there. Yeah, so I'd cut through there. Sometimes it'd be dark, and like I ain't gonna lie, man, like driving through that forest at night and the little roads that they have, it's a little sketchy. I would not want to at all. And like you lose service right in the middle of it. So either you got like a 3 mile walk this way, or you got like a 3 mile walk back this way.
And so, I mentioned hunting, hill country compared to it, and we use Garmin, tracking collars, right?
Yep.
Way out there, dropping collars. I mean, I wasn't used to that when I, hunting around where I was hunting. If you drop collars, it was mainly they were far off. Getting out of there, river bottom, just bad spot. You get out in those piney woods, you're lucky. Like I said, Garmin, I'm hard on them. I'm a hard Garmin critic, but thank God that we have them because they've spoiled us. But man, you'll get lost. I went to New Mexico just a few years ago for a bachelor party, and I took off in the national forest where we had an Airbnb, and I got about 3 miles out, and I turned around and I looked, and I said, "Man, I ain't got that Garmin on me." I said, "I should probably back out." I was like, "I should probably back out. No cell phone service."
Yeah.
I'm more of a smart guy than I am just going to be, bold and brave. I was like, man, time to turn around, get myself out of here before I put myself in a hairy situation. And you can do the same thing in the national forest. Me and my buddies hunt together. We'll get separated. Phones die, etc. I'm big on picking up dogs. I mean, if we've got dogs out all day, I'll start looking at the lights on the battery, and heck, we'll go scoop them up. And it's not worth losing a dog over, in the middle of the woods.
No, sir.
However long it might be. So.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I mean, there's all kind of things. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of that too. When we went to Idaho, it was definitely that place we were hunting up there for mule deer. We really didn't have to worry about getting lost per se, but like maybe finding the right track to come back home and not having to take the long way. Like I have Onyx, so I'll turn on the little.
Yeah, that saved our life as well, man.
Yeah, that, and then I need to get a new one, but I just can't justify paying for one right now. But I used to have a Garmin watch that you could turn on the tracker on that too, so it'll leave your trail of where you're going, and those things definitely come in handy, and in all kinds of situations for sure. Because we turn them on,
I got one so I can leave the Garmin handheld at the buggy, and when I'm walking into a bay with a bull, I don't set it down. I got ADD. You're dealing with dogs.
Yeah,
you know, I don't actually go hunt it. I don't hunt it. And I try not to hunt at night anymore, man. I'm a morning time, get out of there, or early afternoon, because man, you're in their world when you go out and hunt a hog place. Man, you're in their world. It's like I said, I put myself in some hairy situations, middle of the night, 3 o'clock. Nobody answering their phones.
Yeah,
the battery down, et cetera, et cetera. And I've just wisened up over the years, trying to keep myself safe, and luckily, or keeping my dog safe. More importantly, it's a grown man sport. It's why I take people. I was going back to taking people on guided hunts and doing the whole thing. I told them, I said, it's not what you expect to do when you go on a hunt. It's a full day process, getting dogs out, loading dogs, going from here to there, and then you get to have fun, really, almost.
Yeah.
When the fun starts.
Yeah. But it's like you said, it's high priority to take care of those dogs and get them the stuff that they need too. Because I mean, they're running around, obviously doing something that they love, but they're doing it because they know that that you want them to.
That's their tool. They're a tool to be used, man. Like I said, I try to explain to people that see dogs that are rescues or anything like that. I said, man, those dogs that they're rescues have done nothing wrong. That's exactly what they were supposed to. That's just a genetic in their gene that makes them. You can't fault them for putting them in an apartment for 8 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, I've been a big person. Anybody I know that wants to go and get a dog that's got a big backyard or anything like that, I was like, man, go check the shelters. There's people that think they can handle working dogs or they're cute or cuddly. They're going to get them, and then they ended up somewhere where they shouldn't be. And then, luckily, guys like myself or my mentors or buddies like myself, we've kept cur dogs in the yard, hounds, etc. Man, they're our children. I take getting out there, taking care of their kennels. Heck, anytime I can get away from the house and the woods, to the woods, it's a getaway. It's anybody that can't understand that hasn't done it yet, and they'll understand it once they do it. So it's a fun process, or it's been a fun deal.
Yeah, it's different. Hunting itself is different, obviously, than the rest of people that don't hunt. But then when you hunt with dogs, if you're retrievers, you're hunting quail, you're chasing turkeys. I even found out that there was turkey dogs. There's to hunting hounds, bears, and everything else. It adds another level to it. It adds a different component that you're communicating and working with this animal to get the job done. And neither one of you really understand each other on the same language level, but somehow you're coming together to get that done. And it's like you said, if you haven't hunted over dogs or hunted with dogs, I suggest you find somebody close to you that does and give it a shot. Like you said, from duck hunting to anything else. We got to do some work here recently with a guy that's breeds Drathars, which are it's a Uber Drathar. So they're like a souped up German short hair pointer is the easiest way I can put it. But
I haven't heard my bird hunting buddies haven't started bragging on these dogs yet.
Yeah, so they're called Drathars. So they have to go through a whole process to even breed these dogs. Like they have to pass a test. Like they have to be able to retrieve, they have to be able to blood track, and it's like waterfowl and upland. So then this one day we went and shot this content for this guy. We met him through the Houston Safari Club, but we went to his place. We went duck hunting that morning, and I watched this dog retrieve ducks, probably 15 of them. And then we took a break, went and ate lunch. We went out, and he breeds quail too, to train the dogs with. So we went out and set out quail birds and left the dogs at the house. Then we went and picked them up and then we went and pointed to get photos and videos of them and stuff. And like she went and pointed on quail. Went after they were shot. She went and picked them up and retrieved them. Like, this dog is awesome. She blood tracks too, so deer, hogs, everything. Like, this dog is all in one. Pretty much the perfect hunting dog. But they are a cool breed. You should definitely look them up.
I'm gonna have to shoot a text to my buddy down there in your area. He's in Kennedy. He knows his stuff. They use English. Sorry, drawing a blank here. English pointers and instead of the GSPs. And they quickly told me I had gotten to go down there this past few months ago to work with them and get to see the experience. And he said, we've hunted both. We prefer the English. He's just like anybody else, prefer a different dog. And I'm surprised I haven't heard that conversation. He's one of my cur dog guys. He's got a set of hog dogs as well. And always looking for that new dog. I hadn't heard of a Dogo Argentino until a couple of years ago. I say a couple of years, 5 or 6 years ago. Until an old man that that I had known through the cattle business asked me about them, and nope, Catahoula's, game, bulldogs, etc.
Yeah.
And then Dogos come around, and they are an incredible animal as well. They are an all around working dog too. I've seen them do blood tracking, running catch dogs, lead in catch dogs, to anything you pretty much ask them to do. So it's been a I love working dogs. So. Say again?
I said in their home country they hunt jaguars. So yeah, any dog that can do that is on another level.
I got a dog one time from a buddy who said, "Man, he'll bay a hog, but are you okay with him putting tree in a bobcat?" I thought he was crazy. I said, "Man, absolutely." I said, "You can send that sucker to me as soon as you want to." I said, "If he'll put a bobcat up a tree," I said, "that's a bad mojo." And sure enough, he was the roughest dog I ever owned. I actually ended up sending him to a buddy in East Texas that loves those rough dogs. So, and incredibly, he's been a great dog. But man, he made me worry sometimes when I had dogs on the ground. I was thinking, "Oh, good Lord!" I said, "I hope it's not a big sucker out there just whooping on them." Because, like I said, vet bills will eat you up in a year, man. Like I said, vet bills and that feed bill doesn't go anywhere. That's every week. That's every week on top of their medicine and hay and water and et cetera, man. That's what's been. I really enjoyed the process. I haven't had kids yet or anything like that. My fiance luckily lets me keep some dogs in the yard, and not say that as in a joking manner. She loves them just as much as I do. But it's a lot to take on. Like I said, you go on a vacation or you go anywhere, you still got those suckers at home. It's not like you can just step away from home and forget about them. And that's what's good.
Yeah, I said exactly, dude. And especially you're lucky. I'm gonna count my blessings too. Megan lets me have these 2 dogs, and she already said, if I wanted more, as long as I get everything set up, I could have some more. But it's still got to have a job for them. This can coming back to the bay pit kind of deal. That's why I was like, an excuse to get some more dogs. But no, man, that's pretty cool to hear. Like how you have it set up, and I'm excited for you. Going and having your stuff set up at Beat Eyes. That's awesome.
I appreciate it, man. I really do. Yeah, small town, like I said, just needed to get out of the cities coming out this way. I mean, everywhere you look, it's just growing up. Anywhere you look, if you ask me, my butt would have been Sutton County, Hill Country, but my roots are here, Southeast Texas. Just kind of keep it around here. Luckily, I've got great friends and mentors and buddies that we all hunt together, and it's been. Losing the Dancin Dog Ranch was probably one of the hardest things that we didn't realize we were going to have to go through, right? Never did we think that there goes that deer lease that we had, every year just written off. When the new owners walked in, we assumed that we were signing a contract for the next deer season, right?
Yeah.
And boom, gone. And we had tried corporate leases, as you might know, 20 guys, 25 guys. It's a lot. When they bring guests and other people, it turns into a huge show, and people get, game camera. It's a fun, like I said, everybody, not all hunting groups are for each other, for everybody.
Oh, sure.
And those private leases or those even public land, guys in public land are very, very dead serious about their spots, anybody getting into those spots, or if you just stumble upon it, like I said, it's been a very long process of learning how to go back from having a place you can swing a gate, go hunt turkey, black bug, axis, whatever you may please, to then going strictly, like I said, going strictly to trying to find something different.
Yeah.
And man, it's been a fun process. So I've been really enjoying your page. Y'all have done some really great content. I need a videographer, so I've had y'all in my back pocket. All about budgeting right now. I'm not going to make it to Uncle Earl's this year because I'm going to be moving in less than about 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I'm going to be moving right in the middle of that sucker. So I'm going to kind of get that wrapped up. But going to be at a lot of events this year. I'm big into going to farmers markets. I was going to try to hit Hunters Extravaganza this year, but man, manufacturer for small businesses, trying to get budgets lined out and working with suppliers, as you might know, trying to get hats or anything like that, it'll push you back. It'll push you back, and you don't realize how long turnarounds are. So that's what I've been managing these past few years. We're in about 7 stores right now in state of Texas, and it's been fun, man. It's got a lot of guys in Florida that wear the gear, Louisiana, Georgia. Yeah, started as a hunting page, just trying to keep the name alive. Something that somebody can come to the page, check out, buy a hat, then you're, like you said, you're members, kind of the Dancin Ranch. And like I said, I saw an opportunity after COVID to take off and run with it, and it's been an awesome deal.
That's cool, man, because like you're doing something that you love and you really care about, and you're trying to make it work. Mm-hmm. That's, like you said, I'm right there with you. I love doing photography and videography, and I like doing it for the Western industry with the horses and team ropes and stuff, and I like doing it for the hunting industry, just because those 2 things are the 2 things that I love the most. Like
it's needed, man. It's a very much needed thing. All of us working together is I heard a saying a few weeks ago, it's community over competition, right?
Yeah.
I would rather be standing next to somebody than standing against them.
Yep.
And I agree with that from being hunting to a business aspect. I wouldn't be able to run this page if it wasn't guys like you motivating each other. I work with a lot of great other small business guys that if it wasn't for them checking on me, like, hey man, you need to step it up. Where's this at? Come on, let's go. It really keeps you going. It's a breakaway from the crazy, hectic world. You get to really focus yourself on something positive. And that's where I took the idea. I was like, everything that I've done, got to touch my hands with the Dancin Ranch has been a positive thing.
Yep.
And that's really, even if I never get a 1,500 acre deer lease ever again, if it never comes up that I buy the 100-acre ranch or whatever it may be, I'll know going to my grave that people are wearing Dancin Ranch hats, wearing our gear, following the page, knowing they're getting something authentic.
Yeah.
I grew up reading Texas fishing game, just going, grabbing a Texas fishing game thing, checking out what's going on through the state of Texas, really. Oh my gosh, check out the new record bass, check out this, the axis herd that's popped up over here, et cetera, et cetera. I've always tried to go to the local businesses, local spots, and then social media really helped with that. Social media really exposed us to things we wouldn't have ever gotten to see if it wasn't for these little small businesses. So
yeah,
it's been I really, like I said, I can't wait to see. I hate that we miss each other. I'm gonna have to take you on a hog hunt now that we've talked. I have to take you on a hog hunt. Anytime you want to come over and check out the dogs and be there too. Like I said, anytime, man. We're gonna be doing crawfish bowls when we get up there. Barbecues. I'm a barbecue enthusiast. Got a pit. Trying to do some competitions here in the next few years. It's like I said, keep your eye out for Dancin Ranch. We're doing a lot of stuff. I got kids stuff coming out. I'm big on. I want to get back. You mentioned Colorado River Land Trust. Those guys are pretty great about what the events they're putting on. Disabled outdoorsmen. They're really great people.
Like I said, anything we could do to help out, like just let me know. Because I've been a big proponent of I love Texas. I grew up in Juliet. It's a really historical place, and you have like in the hunting industry period, you have the people out east that are just mostly hunting whitetails and stuff, and then you have people out west that are chasing muleys and elk and antelope and all that. And I want to do all that, but I feel like Texas kind of gets pinholed into all high fence, all fake hunting kind of deal, and I'd like to showcase that it's not all that. And don't get me wrong, I've said this before. I've hunted high fences, and I've hunted high fences, and I've seen small high fences. I don't agree with all of them, but if you want to tell me that you could just, it's easy to kill deer in a 3,500 acre high fence, I'd like to see you come try.
Yeah. Come try hunting hogs in a 3,500 acre high fence as well. I mean, it's the same thing. Everything inside there knows that. Like they haven't been anywhere else, right? They've got. I honestly, people used to tell me that they love hunting high fence ranches or come hunt these high fence ranches. It's gonna be easy running dogs. No, they've got so many gosh darn trails and tunnels, and they'll put you on a loop. And if you gotta have some pretty good stuff to show up and hunt a high fence. And even if it's packed with hogs, I mean, like I said, even if you've got a spot packed with hogs. Fresh sign put down that they can just full blown outrun your dogs. You like I said, you got to have some heat to put them down. And you're saying whitetail, axis, anything like that. We were never pressure hunted the Dancin Ranch. And like I said, we never axis. You never knew what you were going to get, but it was never guaranteed. You're never going to be guaranteed a trophy. We saw a bunch of deer, but like I said, it was a process of becoming into that after, all the years managing it.
Yeah.
And it's been sectioned off now, man. Like I said, I hope that whoever's got it now is taking care of it. I've driven by in the past few years. Like I said, it still kind of looks the same out there, but I know it's not really the same. But like I said, it's I don't know. Like I said, I've never had any issues with high fences as well. But like I said, they are hard to hunt. And bird hunting, like I said, people think Texas is the capital bird hunting, place in the world, and it is hard to come down here and shoot birds. So it's the drought this year. Like I said, my buddies that have killed a lot of birds in the past few years haven't killed birds like they did this year. A lot of cancellations, etc.
Yep.
And man. Changing weather conditions. You never know. That's one of my topics I had on here about hog hunting was, full moons, if the weather's too wet, if it's too dry, et cetera. You can have excuses as long as you want, but they're not really excuses. They're just straight facts. A lot of it comes down to, I'm big about putting yourself in a winning situation. If you're not in a winning situation, don't be such a hard critic, right? Have fun. Always have fun in the woods. Don't ever knock yourself because you didn't get what you wanted in the woods. You got something. You just didn't know what you got. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's awesome, man. Dude, I'm glad I got you on the podcast. I'm glad we finally got to talk and meet and everything. It's been cool. Everything with the dogs. I'm definitely going to come hang out with you. We're going to go to hog hunt. We'll do a podcast, talk about that. And we'll kind of the dogs and stuff. But let me know how El Perro goes for you and what you see down there. If there's any good dogs, and I'll tell you what, I'm excited to go, but I'm also worried that I might come back with more dogs that I left with, and I hope not. But if I
come on, you're starting to sound like one of us. Come on, man.
Yeah, but yeah, man,
it's hard when they get down there and you see them like that. But you gotta watch that pocketbook, son, because people know what they got when they go down there too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I've been seeing some dogs get sold, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have to make sure we come with something if we're gonna take that jump.
It's always money well spent when you're having fun, right? That's one thing you got to tell yourself.
For sure. Well, great, man. We'll get on another podcast and we'll go on a hog hunt and do that. But thanks again for hopping on, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Brandon. You appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, and talk about drop your social and everything for everybody. What is it at Dancin Dog Ranch or
at Dancin Dog Ranch? At Dancin Dog Ranch, Instagram, Facebook. I've got a website, www.dancindogranch. It's a DANCIN, not with a G, DOGS Ranch. And man, it's like I said, you'll see me at farmers markets, at bays, etc. As long as my schedule aligns up with this move and building this business and trying to get us a step forward, you'll find us. I'm posting every day. Got great followers. Got great guys supporting me. I'm very blessed to be where I'm at. I'm very blessed that we made this conversation and got to do this podcast, man. I look forward to doing another one and taking you on a hog hunt.
For sure, man. Sounds good.
All right, bud. Take care.
You too.